I'm Michael Ann Rogodino, the CEO of Rocket Communications, the creators and stewards of the Astro User Experience Design System. Over the past few years, there's been space technology industry shift towards incorporating user-centered design into the software development processes. Cross-Mission Ground and Communication Enterprise Directorate and Enterprise Ground Services have been at the forefront of this effort by investing in the creation of the Astro User Experience Design System. Astro was commissioned by Enterprise Ground System to support ECX and is a major step towards truly transforming space operations. In today's talk, I will be focused on the following: why user-centered design is important for you to implement, how user-centered design is accomplished, an overview of successful user engagement, what the Astro User Experience Design System offers to support your software design and development efforts, and how Rocket has pivoted to work during the COVID-19 pandemic. We can all empathize with this experience. When driving a rental car, we reach for the windshield wipers when it starts to rain. We fumble to understand how the controls work. We know exactly how to turn them on in our own car, but every vehicle is unique, oftentimes behaving differently than the next one. Driving on the highway isn't the ideal time to user test the vehicle's interface. But what if all vehicles shared the same controls, the same touchscreen interface? What if we could just get in the car and focus on the mission, to drive? When we look across the current landscape of cross-mission ground, we see many disparate systems with differing tools and UX patterns. At first glance, these tools look similar, yet behave in different ways. While these systems have been successfully defending our country for decades, the cost of cross-training our warfighters alone has been substantial. The inconsistency of controls is just one of the many issues the Astro design system is solving for cross-mission ground. The Department of Defense's legacy space systems were originally designed with intent and purpose, but many cannot scale to support the increasing number of satellites being launched or the evolving contested environment of space. In a world where younger generations of men and women have grown up using smartphones and the modern internet, Astro gives them the tools and behavioral patterns they are familiar with, reducing the time it takes to learn these systems and letting them focus on mastering their mission. SMC and ECX are committed to modernizing the applications used by our space warfighters by incorporating best practice user experience design with their DevSecOps processes. User experience is now being offered as a service in the EGS services catalog. To start, let's clarify user experience, or UX. This is fundamentally what a person is thinking, feeling, and able to accomplish when interacting with a product or service. User experience design is the process of creating that experience. Good user experience anticipates the needs of the user, the business, and solves problems through data and empathetically driven design practices. A UX design system is used to implement user experience design at scale. UX design systems contain the principles of the UX design and development and the toolkits for achieving those principles. By implementing user-centered design methodologies and industry best practices, ECX has adopted proven successful design processes. At Rocket, we call our design process Launchpad. Launchpad is an agile and user-centered approach founded on design thinking methodologies. This process enables us to validate our strategy and design decisions with users and partners through the duration of a project. There are two key phases to Launchpad: discovery and execution. The discovery phase of Launchpad allows us to research the domain we're working in, as well as understand the business and user needs to assure we are meeting those expectations. This is where a primary use case is identified, and designers begin working through high-level concepts and assumptions that are then validated with users, partners, and subject matter experts before moving forward. The execution phase of Launchpad begins with more detailed, higher fidelity wireframe design. All designs are based on the Astro User Experience Design System. These wireframes are iterative and continually validated with partners and users. During this phase, we routinely seek expertise from our users and stakeholders as our designs evolve. It's also during this phase that we begin to user test the designs. We identify areas that require further research, as well as what performed well. It's this data that will drive the next round of design decisions. The design and test cycle continues until we reach the production step of the execution phase. This is where our visual design team uses the Astro UX design system to build high-fidelity, full-color representations of the wireframes that are driven by human-centered design and accessibility guidelines. At the end of the execution phase, the final artifacts are delivered. This can include anything from static guidelines and assets to interactive prototypes to full UX development. By using user-centered design methodologies and processes, teams can produce well-designed applications guided by best practices, ensuring the applications created enable our warfighters to access the capabilities they need to successfully accomplish their missions. User engagement is how we stay connected to our users' goals by including them into the design process. We do this by conducting interviews, facilitating usability testing, or gathering feedback in design reviews. By including the user community into our process, we ensure we're building the right products that meet our users' needs, validated through continuous input and feedback loops, rather than designing based on assumptions. Just as the focus has been on agile software development for the past few years, user engagement is finally being widely recognized as critical to the success of the technologies being created. It doesn't matter how awesome a technology is if a user cannot access those capabilities. User engagement is essential to the success of the applications Rocket has been designing for ECX. Being included as a participant in the software development process is new for our warfighters, and we've enjoyed being able to introduce them to this new way of creating capabilities that support their missions. For months, we've been able to work directly with users from the 18th Space Control Squadron, including them in the design process for the Atlas system being developed for Kobayashi Maru. Our design team has been meeting with these users on a regular basis to include them in information gathering, design validation, and usability testing. The feedback we've received from the users at the 18th has been incredibly positive. It's also been a pleasure working with them. So I've just shown how we create user experiences, but the way dozens or even hundreds of development teams are able to design consistent applications across the enterprise at scale is with Astro. Astro is an enterprise user experience design system that designers and developers utilize to quickly create high-quality, consistent space applications. Design systems have been being used in technology companies like Apple since the early 1990s and have become increasingly popular with nearly all enterprises in the past 5 years. Like these large enterprise companies, Astro has been supporting ECX for 5 years. Astro is a user-centered enterprise design solution uniquely capable of supporting enterprise cross-mission ground with industry best practices for modern application design and development at scale. Astro was conceived while addressing the needs for SATCOM system UX design. The first app built using Astro was BigTop. EGS adopted and leveraged Astro to create the UX for TT&C, GRM, and most recently Flight Dynamics services. Astro has proven its value as an enterprise UX design solution and has become a standard at ECX. Space C2 is using Astro for the Atlas system, and the Forge MD PAF framework was designed using Astro. Astro is also being used at Space Camp. Other applications outside of ECX are utilizing Astro as well. Astro supports and fosters consistency between all of these applications. As one service is designed, new patterns and models are developed that can be leveraged by the next service. For example, as the requirements of GRM services were being researched, an alert pattern was designed as a needed component for the operators. The alert required a status, a category, as well as the ability to expand open for more detailed information. This same feature was needed for TT&C operators as that effort was being designed. TT&C designers were able to benefit from the research and user testing conducted for the GRM service and leverage the alert's design pattern. When it came time to design the Forge project, an alert pattern was needed, and designers have been able to implement the same model for their service. With using Astro, operators do not need to learn unique systems and controls. They can just get in the car and drive. Astro is compatible with any DevSecOps environment and is especially useful when combined with agile development methodologies. Using Astro, designers are able to rapidly prototype designs and conduct user testing for immediate feedback. Using Astro sample code, developers are able to quickly build and design apps enabling faster deployment to our warfighters. It's easy to train operators to use apps created using Astro, and even easier to cross-train them when they move on to new systems. Cross-trained users only need to focus on their new mission requirements, not relearn common features or functionality. Enterprise design requires all areas of cross-mission ground to adopt and contribute to Astro, ensuring all work moving forward is consistent, allowing the greater community to help our warfighters. Astro is not a static set of guidelines. It's a living system that evolves as technology changes and new patterns are created, and it's dependent on consistent contribution by the community. As I said earlier, you're going to be hearing a lot about user engagement. User engagement is the new agile. Just because COVID-19 shut down our ability to get face-to-face with our users doesn't mean we stopped engaging with them. We jumped into action and found out how to access the users in new ways. Let me share with you what we did, and maybe this can help you do the same. So, successful design is dependent upon user engagement and having access to users for feedback and validation of the designs throughout the design lifecycle. But the COVID-19 pandemic this year has sort of been like a punch to the face. No one saw it coming, and just like everyone else, is required to shake it off and pivot. We had to figure out ways to get access to people who are inherently hard to reach. Here are some of the things we learned in order to continue engaging with users remotely. Plan in extra lead time to get user engagement scheduled, and be prepared to reschedule. If you can get user engagement scheduled on a regular cadence, this will limit churn. Communication channels on base can be restrictive and flaky, so create an email PDF version of materials ahead of time to use as a backup. Test out the conferencing technology ahead of time to the extent possible and make sure it adheres to government protocols. Always make sure there are at least 2 people from your team on the call in the case where recording the session isn't allowed. The note taker should be present to capture observations while you moderate the session. Try to find a quiet place to conduct testing, but don't stress out about the external noise. Whether it be dogs barking or kids interrupting, we're all dealing with this and can't control every detail about our environments. It's just a matter of time before space becomes the new theater of war, and it's our job to provide our men and women with the most efficient, consistent set of tools to fight and win that war. With Astro, ECX is committed to providing tools and processes to empower rapid development of modern apps to be deployed and accepted to our warfighters. We really see Astro's future being one where contributors across the United States Space Force and the United States Air Force are actively contributing and participating in maintaining a design system that meets the needs of the space defense community, and Rocket and ECX have plans for 2021 to continue growing not just awareness of Astro, but looking to new tools and processes to reduce the time between design and development and deploy. By using Astro, you're participating in the SMC Enterprise Space Application future. Help us provide our warfighters with the professional tools they need to effectively fight and win. If you're currently using Astro, thank you. If you're not using Astro, please consider using it. We need full participation from the community, both using the Astro User Experience design system and contributing to its evolution. Thank you.